Greetings from Costa Rica. Are you a Costa Rica Matt subscriber who dreams of someday being on my channel? Well, you're going to see someone live out their dream today. Steve from California. We met in 2021, and he is my absolute #1 subscriber. Thanks for joining me today, Steve.
Matt, thanks for having me, and thank you for your channel.
Yeah.
No, your channel brought me over here in 21, and it's continued to keep me coming here as far as this trip.
Well, tell us about this trip. What are you doing here in Costa Rica, Steve?
Well, when I came out 2 weeks ago for the relocation retreat in Estoril Este, and you were present in your presentation, and there were several speakers there. I found the retreat, as far as relocation retreat, money well spent. I really do.
Awesome.
I really do.
How many nights were you there?
I was there for the full duration, which was 7 days, 6 nights.
Okay.
Yeah.
7 days, 6 nights in Esterillos. That's in the Central Pacific here in Costa Rica, folks. We're in northwestern Guanacaste now. Steve has moved up to Tamarindo for the next phase of his trip. Today, as on every Friday at noon Costa Rica time, or hoping to be every Friday, is our live Costa Rica Real Estate Forum. The idea is to open up a dialogue with my viewers and people who want to ask questions about real estate, whether it's consulting a specific listing, talking about a particular gated community, tax laws, whatever you want to ask about. The Real Estate Forum is here for that purpose. This is actually forum number 6.
Oh, good. Lucky even number.
Yeah, we exactly. We passed that difficult 5 number where we're into something you could call a regular tradition. If you have a listing you'd like us to discuss, if you have questions for either me or Steve, my best subscriber from California, feel free to post them in the comments of this video. We can also, if Dimitri is ready, he can also put his contact information on the screen. That will be a QR code. And for those of you novices, you take your phone and put it on the camera function. When there's a QR code, you hold up your camera there to it, and it should bring up a little link that you can tap on to bring up whatever we're talking about. In this instance, we're talking about Dimitri's contact info, which is conveniently covering Steve's face.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, anytime Steve goes to panic, we'll just bring up some contact info here. But overall, if you want to get in touch with us, scan this QR code, send Dimitri a message and say, hey, I've got this question. Let's get back to Steve and what you're doing here in Costa Rica. Let's start off by talking about your overall strategy for moving to Costa Rica and how you're approaching this as a, Californian thinking of this move.
Okay, so I'm looking at Costa Rica as a second home. So it's uniquely different than some expat that wants to make this their primary home. Although, I want to make this second home my primary home the way I feel about Costa Rica in terms of having a home in California, a home in Costa Rica. Now, having said that, I fell in love with the country when I came out in 21. Nothing's changed. I went to the retreat. It gave me all the tools to know what it's going to really truly cost to move here. Now, I'm not going to be that typical relocation person, so I'm looking for a second home. But I also going to keep my residence. Not my residency, but my home in California. So I will be most likely not trying to get my residency, but using the perpetual tourist approach as far as that goes. Now, it may change down the road, but having said that, the retreat, I followed with a week in La Fortuna. That's where I came from just recently. And I spent time there because that's another area that I'm interested in. La Fortuna, the Tamarindo, Guanacaste area. And you turned me on to this area. This is gorgeous. And we just looked at some nice property here.
Yeah, Steve has actually just been to a villa. We'll be taking a look at that specific villa that he visited as an example of what's available on the market here in Junquillal. And I think he's doing an exemplary, awesome job overall in that this is your second trip.
Yes.
Currently, you're scouting more of a place to come back and spend some serious time. And then he's going to consider coming back down here and renting long term before making an investment. And that, is something lots of people will encourage you to do as you transition to Costa Rica. And I'm interested to hear at this stage. So you've spent a week, you came here in 21.
Mm-hmm.
You've spent some time now in Fortuna and some time in Jaco. Can you compare the different areas for us so far and just some general thoughts? And I'm not thinking here because X reason.
Well, I've not been to the Jaco area or Estero Estet before, and that's a beautiful coastline there, and beautiful, completely different than the Tamarindo, tourist hub of the beach there. But that opened my eyes to there's another area to consider. But I'm here to make a decision when I come back. I want to do a long-term 6-month rental.
Yeah.
See if I can do my lifestyle here. My lifestyle, I'm retired, but I'm very active. I do my baking as a hobby, and I want to be able to continue to do that and do that, not necessarily to worry about the revenue base on that, but just because it's my passion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're really hoping Steve buys a property in this area so that we can finally get access to some good cheesecake. He makes 4-inch diameter custom luxury cheesecakes that I've told him will be an absolute sought after item here. Now, unfortunately, in Costa Rica, it might cost $35 per cheesecake to actually produce it because dairy can be very expensive.
Yeah.
Quality crust ingredients. But I'm hoping he can pull together the cheesecake thing in addition to just bringing that to my area so that we can try some of it.
That's right. That's right.
So if you were right now, if someone said you have to pick an area of Costa Rica, what's your favorite place that you've visited so far?
Well, I would say that this region here, after looking at the coastline, is won my heart because the ocean draws me.
Mm-hmm.
It's very scenic. The thing about the coastline too here is it's constantly changing with the swells, with the skyline, the clouds, and all of it. But I like the pace of life in this region as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Compared to Tamarindo, kind of.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So specifically south of Tamarindo here, down in the quieter areas.
Yeah. This is. I think this is where I would like to do my long-term.
That's awesome. No, I find consistently that people for whom the ocean is an absolute top priority, Junquial and Negra and Avellanas are just such a great fit because most of those people are the kinds that have a lifestyle that you don't need to be in Tamarindo. You're an outdoors person. You're more interested in the beautiful nature that's available here and not necessarily stuck on having a supermarket, having full amenities, having a weekly bridge club with lots of people.
Bingo.
Yeah, bingo, exactly. So, and how long do you think, when would you try to do your long-term rental as your next step?
Well, once I get back, I'm going to do all while I'm here, I've got to find out, we talked about ingredients, because what I want to do is I want to be busy here. So I don't want to come down here and not be able to do my passion. Now, cheesecakes are one of the many things that I do bake. I bake muffins and cupcakes and cookies and all kinds of things. But I want to be able to market those, because what I do now in the area I live is a tourism area as well. And so what I do is there's clients that I have there that feed off of these baked goods. So I want to be able, is there enough to keep me busy here? And can I do that either at a commercial bakery where I can rent space or do it from my own kitchen?
Yeah, and that's a very important part that I think everybody's search should include. How are you going to find satisfaction and fulfillment here in Costa Rica? Yes, it could be by walking your 2 dogs on the beach every day for 3 hours. It could be watercolor or poetry or some source. But when you're looking at real estate and looking at a lifestyle change, you definitely have to consider, can I keep myself fulfilled and involved in things that I want to do here? It's neat to hear that you're not just a one-trick pony. I was trying to come up in my mind with a pun.
No, I'm a 2-trick donkey.
A 2-trick donkey.
Yeah,
I was trying to combine the word pony and baker in some kind of way that would be a pun. If you have a word that combines a punny version of Baker with a multifaceted person. We'll be taking a contest on that.
Yeah, I'm no phony Baker.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more. Have you looked at? We looked at real estate in 2021.
Right.
You've just now come from a condo here in Playa Blanca.
Yes.
What I want to do is first play our promotional video for this particular condo so that everybody can watch it, and then we'll get Steve's impression of what he saw on the ground visiting the condo with my ultra assistant Dimitri only moments ago. Here we go, folks. Costa Rica are just a short walking distance from one of the world's most idyllic white sand beaches, Playa Blanca. There are 10 standalone villas in Iguana Villas, and importantly, they're much more like homes than condos. They have 1,700 square foot floor plans with 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. And they were built in a time when you could still create really large spaces here in Guanacaste. Welcome to Iguana Villas number 2, my newest exclusive listing. One of the things that I absolutely love about this project is that it combines the convenience of owning a condo, where a homeowners association is taking care of your pool, your security, the common area maintenance. Everything that's outside of your condo is handled by somebody else, but you really get to feel like you have your own home. The home's main living space opens up onto a spacious patio on the back of the property. The first level is the guest bedroom, kitchen, dining area, a spacious living room. You could even fit a 3rd bedroom into the home if you remodeled, as several have done here in Iguana Villas. And the upstairs is an extremely spacious master suite, where you also have a really great terrace for enjoying sunsets and spending outdoor time on the 2nd level. All right, that is enough of me listening to myself give a real estate tour. Literally painful for me to sit here and be forced to watch that. So anyway, Steve.
Yes.
You had seen the Iguana Villa online through the YouTube video, because as we've discussed, Steve is my #1 subscriber. What did you think about the reality versus Costa Rica Matt video out there?
Well, to be honest with you, Matt, it was very reflective.
Okay.
It was. And the thing that that's what I really appreciate is how you present your properties. Because everything I've seen on your videos, of course, this is my 2nd trip out here, but that was very reflective.
Mm-hmm.
Spot on.
Excellent.
Very, very much so.
Well, and that a lot of credit actually goes to Stefan, my videographer / photographer, who does an excellent job of, yes, making things look beautiful, but not going overboard and making it look fake. I really have to compliment him. What other sorts of things have you looked at in the Costa Rica real estate market that have compared to the Iguana Villa?
Well, because this is my real first full day here, so I haven't looked at much. But having said that, on my last trip out here, there was a development that was water view. Had a white water view, had the pool. Can't think of that.
Was either Vias Venado or?
I'm not sure, but it needed work. Remember, and it wasn't. I don't think. But anyways, it was a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. And a really nice whitewater location. I think that's one of the reasons why the pricing was really high on that unit. Because it was.
Man, at that point, were we looking at the Las Brisas at beachfront condos together?
It was beachfront. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was beachfront. Yeah.
Wow, that was a long time ago. Those units have sold, and it's something representative of the market. I think we were probably looking at a unit that was listed maximum $395. If it had been one of was it a second story?
It was second story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was $395 for a second story oceanfront condo in 2021, and you still had those options available.
Yeah.
Today, you know, we're looking at $285 for a couple of high quality condos. One of them being the Iguana Villa Steve already saw, and another being a Plaza Tierra Pacifica condo upstairs. Now, as you, what sorts of things, I meant to also pepper you with a few more questions about Costa Rica in general.
Sure.
Is there anything out there that you would advise people to completely avoid, something you've done here and you thought, you know, either a restaurant, hotel, even a park or something that you felt was a negative and that you would just...
No, I would say that you have to be sensitive to, they talk about gringo pricing, you know, in terms of, when I was in La Fortuna, there was a little bakery there. And I was scouring, you know, the local just to see what my competition would be. And in the bakery, there were all their goods were placed nicely, but there was no pricing. No pricing at all. I mean, there was no menu of pricing like this croissant was X amount of dollars or colonies and so on and so forth. I said, And so I stood there and I watched, you know, about 20 minutes of that activity, and you could see the pricing was different.
Oh, yeah, people would come in and...
Yeah, you saw that, and I just said, okay.
Yeah, no, and I think that doesn't surprise me whatsoever. And well, I definitely think there's some advice to be given about how you react to this situation. And I feel very strongly that, yes, there are going to be plenty of places out there where the prices are ambiguous in Costa Rica. And it's kind of, I think tourists have to just be forewarned. If you're very price sensitive and you really don't want to get ripped off, make sure you don't get into the situation where you've taken a bite out of that muffin and then entered into, okay, so how much do I owe you? Don't be afraid to ask people very directly, how much is this? And if you think they're ripping you off and they say it's $14 for that muffin, I highly recommend you smile, you say, thank you so much, and pura vida, and turn around and leave, rather than having any kind of dispute, because nothing, I think, makes gringos more miserable here than coming up to these situations and trying to sort of barge through them, you know? Yeah. Get your information. If they're ripping you off, just say, that's totally fine, and I'm gonna head on with my life.
Yeah, that's right.
What about, is there one best thing, an amazing, you know, either restaurant, hotel experience so far that you'd say you want other people to see?
Well, I have to highly recommend the Tamarindo Bay Boutique Hotel.
Yeah.
The staff there, the grounds, it's nice. It's not on the beach, but it's close enough to within walking distance of all that you need to see in Tamarindo. But when you're in their compound and the amenities, the rooms, they're spacious, they're nice, it's clean. It's everything that you would see on their website. So,
oh, great.
Again, it's very reflective of what you know.
Yeah.
There's no surprises.
And Tamarindo Bay Boutique Hotel is not at all a paid advertiser or anything.
No,
that's just him talking about his experience. That's where he's staying. It's located off the main road in Tamarindo, about a block, which I think is key. Yeah. You won't suffer quite as much when there's a big fiesta or party in town as when you would, you know, if you were on the main road. Very interesting. I was going to ask, we had another question or two. I also don't think, if anybody has asked about a question in the chat or comments at this point, I have not seen it in the YouTube interface I'm using. Just to give you a heads up, I'm not deliberately being horribly rude. Has anybody commented? Okay, no problem.
I have a special, I have one here for you guys.
Okay, Dimitri has a question here. Yeah, absolutely. What is the strangest experience you've had so far here in Costa Rica?
The strangest experience? Oh, well, getting off the airplane in San Jose. First time I've flown into San Jose. Last time I came in, it was all through Liberia. Yeah. I'll be leaving through Liberia when I leave here. But the strangest was getting through the maze. I was staying at a local hotel the night I flew in, but all of the taxis and all of every all the hubbub of just trying to navigate to a shuttle was quite a challenge.
The tax season?
Well, taxis. There's a sea of taxis.
Sea of taxis. I was like, tax season. I was like, you did come in
tax
April,
season,
I guess.
it is April, but no. It's all the sea of the taxi, trying to,
You flew into Liberia this time?
No, I flew in last time. I flew into San Jose because I spent the time in Estrella Ceste. So I flew. That's the first time I've flown into it. But it was like 9, almost 10 o'clock at night, and just getting out curbside trying to find a shuttle to your hotel. You were just met with this group, and then there was all kinds of police activity. It was just like, it was just like different than Liberia.
Oh yeah, the San Jose airport is another level of intensity.
Yeah. And
I would say that at both locations you feel it's tough getting off in a foreign country. Yeah. And here, in Central America, there are going to be tons of people who want to sell you something. In Liberia, out here, it's actually very well controlled. I feel that they've got registered taxis, registered shuttles. You don't get immediately swamped by people. But for example, if you step out of the airport in San Jose, people are trying to aggressively sell you taxi fares everywhere you might want to go. And they're just trying to make a living. These people aren't necessarily, they have no bad intention except to be the best darn taxi fare salesman at the airport. But it can turn into what feels like the completely wrong first impression.
Well, yeah, it kind of captured me. It wasn't regulated. Everybody was almost like I felt like a rock star.
Oh yeah, no,
I felt like, hey,
totally.
They must know I'm a baker.
Yeah, everyone wants a muffin.
But no, it caught me by surprise, and then it was funny because one of the gentlemen that was hounding saw me, and he came up to me, he goes, "Are you looking for a shuttle?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, you don't want a taxi?"
Yeah.
I said, "Whoa, okay."
Making progress.
And he asked me where I was staying, and I told him, and then he said, "Okay, well, wait over here," and he called the hotel.
Yep.
And so when the shuttle finally came, 10 minutes later, I reached out to him and I gave him a tip.
Yeah.
And he said, "What's this for?"
Yeah.
"For helping me."
Yeah.
Oh, gracias. It was like, it was nice.
Very nice.
And that's why, although there's chaotic, these people that are trying to get a fare for their taxi, they're just trying to raise their family, support their family. That's all it is. I didn't take offense to it. I just thought, whoa.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
You should be prepared. It can feel like, you're being aggressively overrun by this crowd at the airport when you land. And it's the same as anywhere. And when you get to especially developing countries, major cities, and people selling stuff, it's just like when you see a poor person on the street in Chicago or LA or wherever. You can choose to politely acknowledge people. You can choose to take their services. You're best served by trying to look like you know what you're doing, and not being desperate and just talking to whoever. Otherwise, they're going to clam on you more. But no, it's super interesting. Trying to think of any other questions that I have for Steve. Do you have any, Dimitri?
We have a viewer asking about Casita Almendra in Playa Potrero. I'm right now creating a QR code.
Excellent. Dimitri is creating a QR code for Casita Almendra in Playa Potrero. I'm going to have him text me the link directly so that we can look at it together. Have you been up? So in this current trip, you spent last night in Tamarindo, but you haven't explored the area around it?
No, I'm going to be doing that this week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, so that's what I've been doing this week.
For me, Playa Potrero, and we actually have a market report on Playa Potrero that we're going to be filming shortly after this one. That will hopefully be available early next week. But Potrero is an incredibly different place than Junquillal in that it's the north end, or rather it's the beach that is just north of Playa Flamingo. As always on the Real Estate Forum, let me go here to the trusty Google Maps so that I can explain a little bit about the layout that we're looking here in Potrero. If you come up the coast north of us here, and we should be online now, hopefully people can still hear me talking there. But anyhow, Potrero, as I mentioned, is the immediate beach north of Playa Flamingo. And in fact, when you hear there's a Flamingo Marina, it's actually in Potrero Bay. This is Potrero Bay right here. Here is Playa Flamingo, the white sand that's actually facing west over here. And here is the marina itself. This marina has been planned for 40 years or more. I know realtors in Potrero that grew up in the community that are now my age who remember them talking about it as kids. The project was just inaugurated, or phase 1 was just finished and inaugurated. And anything within a short driving distance of this marina is now an extremely highly valued and sought after property. A 1 hectare beachfront property in Potrero without legal water access. Guess how much you're paying, Steve? Or what the asking price is. And let me double check it on my phone here before I just quote it here.
Wow.
1 hectare, so 2.5 acres, beachfront property in Potrero.
Oh gosh, close to $1 million.
Oh, you're not even close, Steve. They are asking $4.25 million. That's $4,250 per square meter. And they don't have legal water access yet.
Oh.
So they don't have that water availability letter. But to be honest, that lot will probably sell for $4 million because right now you currently have those boat slips being bought up by the world's rich and famous.
Yeah.
You have this casino, you have everything going into the marina that's radically changing. Potrero used to be sort of a, very relaxed beach town. There's no surf, so it has a completely different culture than Tamarindo. You don't get the hippie surf tourism. You get more sort of, to be honest, people like Steve, a little bit older, retirees.
Yeah,
exactly.
Retirees, yeah.
You meet a lot of longer term renters, people who are living in Potrero rather than short term clients. Do we have the QR code here for the listing we're looking at in Potrero? We're going to have Dimitri put that up on the screen now. So if you want to pull up this real estate listing, you can find it yourself. Again, hold up your phone to the QR code with your camera function going, and we'll at least check out one listing here. So we're Casita Almendro, 2-bedroom condo. Yes, and this is a beachfront El Destino Unit 2A. And let's see. Yeah, they ask you have to click for more info on the condo. That's nice. We're looking for the price still. I haven't been able to find it here. It's a 2-bed, 2-bath beachfront condo there.
It's listed on Points2 Homes for $649,000 US.
$649,000 US. It's funny that price should come up. So we actually looked at a Potrero condo, I think, last time as well. The special thing about the Potrero beachfront is that the property is actually titled, whereas 99.9% of Costa Rica's beachfront coastline is only concession property that can be the leased from the government. Potrero actually got a fully titled beachfront all the way up to the sand itself. So condos like this that cost $650,000 are sitting in one of this category of real estate that's absolutely finite. Coincidentally, we looked at a Las Brisas condo when Steve was here in 2021. That was listed at $395,000. Currently, the only sellers that I have at Las Brisas in Junquillal have said they might consider $650,000 to let their condo go because Las Brisas is titled as well. And really right now in the market, titled beachfront condo complexes, the number that exists right now in Costa Rica are never going to increase. I take that back. You might see a titled condo, be put in that Potrero lot we talked about, but it's extremely difficult to see a lot more beachfront condos like that being created. And so at $650,000, 2 bedrooms, beachfront right now in Potrero, that's just where the market is, folks. And yes, I think that paying $650 for something, Steve and I looked at what would have been a superior condo with more space, a 2nd story ultra view that was $400,000 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That condo was purchased up and every other option in the market. And so, yeah, $650 is what you have to pay today. And if you want to try and find a beachfront condo that is more attractively priced or more of an opportunity rather than peak pricing, well, then frankly, you're going to have to wait for the fallout of the ongoing economic changes to change the seller's position here for beachfront condos in Costa Rica, because frankly, until they're very motivated, they're going to continue to ask $600,000 or $700,000 even for a simple 2-bedroom condo. Any comments, Steve?
No, not at this point. But the question I actually had talked to Dimitri over in the car. Lease with an option to buy. Is that something that happens in Costa Rica? Long-term lease with options to buy?
Almost never.
Almost never.
And, the reason that they don't happen is that I want to try and think before I actually just give a reason they don't happen. Make it the real reason. Most often, sellers who've decided to sell their home think of a possible rental as a huge risk in Costa Rica. We get so many renters who either don't treat the property properly. We also get people who would never show the home properly to prospective buyers. So that long-term lease is essentially cutting off a seller from the opportunity to really find their definite buyer.
Mm-hmm.
And another factor, if I were advising a seller, would be that almost 100% of the time, you're going to find something you don't like about a home in the first 2 months you live in it in Costa Rica. Mm-hmm. And there could be extreme examples where you move in and you realize Costa Rica is just, you had no idea about how bad the monkeys were or the roosters or any of this stuff. And you might end up backing out of a purchase because of those factors that you find.
Barking dogs.
Yeah. So it could be a leak in the roof that night that ruins your purchase of the home or something. So sellers here tend to completely hedge their bets. And either I'm going to sell it or I'm going to rent it. You can add into the mix also the risk that long-term renters squat in a property. Because yes, if you have a long-term renter without a very specific contract here, they're allowed to remain in a property for 3 years. So you end up not being able to sell your property if someone says, nah, I'd rather extend my lease. And so that you really don't see lease to own. Perhaps in projects where developers are creating huge amounts of fresh new inventory, they would do that sort of program. But generally speaking, all the resellers, like I said, aren't into it for those reasons.
I was thinking that like a long-term listing, using the mountaintop ocean view listing at $300,000. It's been on there for over a year.
Yeah.
Okay. So the mindset was, well, something's going on there. And from watching your channel, I had asked you through the channel about the specifics, and there apparently it's a long drive up to the property.
Yeah.
Very long drive up to the property, and apparently that's not a selling point.
Correct.
And so that's why it's listed. But that same property was listed for $250.
Yeah.
And now it's at $300. So is that gotten shorter? Is the road gotten shorter? or
No.
not? So I'm thinking, would they be open to something like taking, like 6-month lease with an option to buy?
That's absolutely, that's the kind of person, because they're renting their home
Yeah.
and they're desperate
Yeah.
sellers. That's one of the few circumstances where I could imagine it being
that
a
was just my
possibility.
mindset kind of deal.
Yeah.
If I'm looking for a long-term rental, maybe a long-term listing might be open to an expat
Yeah.
that's that's got good.
No,
tax-
that's a
you know,
perfect example.
Yeah.
And I want to touch on that story. We had this property. It's a home listed in a beautiful mountainous area. Once you're there, it's paradise on earth. And many people would say, I want to live here for the rest of my life if they had been brought by helicopter. But the drive up involves, leaving, if the road is potholed and they haven't done recent maintenance, it can be about an hour drive from pavement to the home itself, and that can intimidate most buyers. So this listing we had at $250 for a very long time. The sellers, what changed was the sellers' perceived value of their property. They came down. In fact, across the road, a specific tree fell down, opening up even more ocean view. They came in the dry season and saw their ocean view, and they also just loved living there. And they said, no, we want $300,000 for this. This was so crazy. After probably 3.5, 4 years of listing the property, we went up to $300,000, and people saw it and absolutely fell for it. They offered $240,000 for the home. The sellers said, absolutely not. And I said, this is the last time I'm ever listing this property, and it's no longer an exclusive listing of mine. I said, you're going to be better served by somebody else who can bring you $300,000, because history showed that I did not bring that price.
Yeah.
And as soon as they rejected that offer, it was like,
yeah. I thought to myself, then maybe you offer them the 250, but they're hardcore, and I respect that. I just but now that you're telling me it's an hour drive to that.
We can bring up our maps here again to show people. Here in the, how do I Here we are.
That's eye-opening.
Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah.
cheers to everybody. It's March 17th. This is Real Estate Forum 6.
St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, happy St. Patrick's Day. Yes, for all of our Irish fans.
Yeah.
It's specifically Irish and not Catholic.
Well,
Is it also a Catholic holiday?
No,
Anyway.
no, it's Irish.
Here's to my nuanced, culturally sensitive comments here. Cheers to everybody. Is there another listing someone would like us to look at? If not, that's brilliant. Folks, Steve is my #1 subscriber, and we're looking forward to him getting back on the other side of the camera so he can be the one commenting and asking questions. If you want us to address a question, talk about a real estate listing, anything in our next real estate forum on Friday, March 24th, once again, I will be back live at noon Costa Rica time, or maybe just slightly after noon again if I'm running late. Really enjoyed talking to Steve today.
Thank you, Matt.
He basically sat down on this couch, we flipped open the camera and got rolling. It's awesome to have you here in person.
Thank you. It's also nice to have met Dimitri.
Yeah,
the ultra assistant. Okay.
Ultra assistant.
Yeah.
He speaks German, so I can also call him my Uber assistant as well.
There you go.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, folks. I'll see you next Friday, March 24th, noon Costa Rica time. It's Costa Rica Matt signing out. Have a good one.